know from a men's perspective, are you waiting on girls to talk to you first? Like, are you waiting on a girl to ask you on a date first? Because that's crazy to me. Like, when you're out in public and you're making eyes with a girl and you're, like, making it known that you're attracted to her, but you're not gonna say something, how are you not gonna say something? Where are the huevos? Where are the huevos these days? I feel like there's so many, like, times that guys want to say something to girls and they don't. Like, is there a guy watching this that can give us some insight? Like, why don't you just do it? Why don't you just do it? Are you scared? Are you waiting for her to say something first? I like my man to be assertive and dominant. If you want to say something to me, say something to me. I'll give you the opportunity. I'll put my phone down.
I don't know why so many women think that it's so easy to approach when they themselves start sweating over the thought of roles reversed. Just off the top of my head, 3 really easy reasons why it is difficult for a man to approach. Number 1, fear of rejection. Number 2, anxiety over what he actually says to you. And number 3, the situation is not ideal.
Just need to know from a men's perspective.
Emily King brings it again, and she gives 3 reasons why men don't approach anymore. I have a 4th. I would like to add to this, and I did it in the comments in this page, but the 4th reason can be summarized in 2 words: Me Too. And obviously not all women are like this, but a small minority of women have played everyone else. And I'll tell you why. Because I've experienced this myself, as I've said before here. And that reason being, women, for every video like this, there's also a video out there from a woman who is approached by a man who doesn't meet her impossible standards and feels insulted by being approached. And those women who feel insulted by being approached by a not perfect 10 Chad respond many times by leveling false harassment accusations. As I said before, I've been in this position. This is why I largely have stopped. I generally just don't approach women anymore at all. I'm not going to risk my freedom. I'm not going to risk my career over a made-up accusation just from merely asking a woman out on a date. It's happened. It has been documented. It is not, unfortunately, like I said, it's a small minority of women who have played everyone, all because of their holier-than-thou views of themselves and the fact that they believe that the world deserves to give them the perfect 10 Chad on a platter. And they feel insulted when it's not him. And their way of taking out their frustration is to falsely accuse the man of harassment. And in this particular Me Too environment, unfortunately these days that works. Probably wouldn't have worked very well 20 years ago, but it does now. And I think of all the athletes who have been accused, and we know that some of them have been accused falsely. The Duke lacrosse team comes to mind. I would even say that without necessarily evidence either way, Ben Roethlisberger is probably also on the list. That punter who was suspended from the National Football League in Buffalo is probably on the list as well. And these are men who obviously have a lot of money and a lot to bring. They're probably being falsely accused for other reasons. These men obviously meet the Chad accusations. These are women who are basically just looking for a bag. But unfortunately these days, a lot of women, when I say a lot, it's not most of them, but it's a lot of them who just believe that if they are approached by a man who is not all the way up to their perfect standards, they consider it an assault and they consider it an affront and an insult. Again, I know, I've been there. That's why we don't approach anymore. The Me Too movement and combined with the small percentage of entitled princesses have ruined the entire game. And unfortunately these days, if a woman is interested she's going to have to do the approaching herself, because we have been insulted, harassed, falsely accused, had our freedom threatened by that sliver of women who have taken advantage of the Me Too environment and have lied about harassment. Again, most women don't do this. This is not the majority, but a small handful of women using both changes to the environment have created a situation where us single men would rather just be by ourselves, enjoy our peace, and not risk our freedom, our career, over the pursuit or desire of a woman. So that was kind of my comment to that particular video, in long form, of course. So anyway, sorry to the majority of women, but the minority of the women who have taken advantage of this environment and used it to express their entitlement, they played you. They played themselves. And they played the entire environment. We, as a society, are much, much worse off. Because of this, I'm an older man, so for me, I already have a daughter. I don't, need to have any sort of legacy in that regard. But for the younger men out there who are out there believing that all women act like this, but when they don't, but unfortunately social media has made it where most younger men than myself believe that modern women want nothing to do with them, which results in women like this crying and complaining that men are not coming up and approaching them. There's just too much to risk. The risk is just too high in this environment. In my particular case, if I'm ever fortunate enough to have one again, she's probably going to have to find me. Because I'm not going to put myself on a limb with the risk levels this high. This woman who posted this video that Emily pulled up does not realize how much of a lethal risk it is these days for a man to even ask a woman out on any sort of a date. You get the wrong one and you wind up in the Gray Bar Hotel on harassment charges, being arrested by the cops. And this is obviously the extreme situation. It doesn't happen most of the time, but the risk is there. It's not a risk as we're taking. As it sometimes said, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Because even if the percentage of this happening is very slim, the danger is just too high. So if that 1 or 2% comes true when you ask a woman out, that is such an astronomical risk, even with a low percentage. So anyway, this is Jason and the Simpademic. I did not say this earlier, but that is my thought when I saw this video tonight. This is why most men these days, like myself, are quite content with being by ourselves. The risk is just too high, even if the percentage of occurrence is extremely low. And I believe it is extremely low. But it's just, you get that 1 out of 100, and your life is basically over. It's going to take a lot of effort and a conscious effort by all of us as a whole to turn this around. The risk of being falsely accused has to entirely disappear. Women cannot be posting on YouTube or on TikTok anymore about how they're being insulted by less than perfect 10 men approaching them. Unfortunately, I've seen too many of these videos. And that's not even using AI or rage farming. I can just run into them just as a matter of the algorithm. Excuse me. So anyway, that's my rant for the night. Jason and then the Simpademic. Enjoy your Friday. If you're in a certain job position like myself, enjoy your 3-day weekend for the President's Day holiday. I know I will. I need some rest. And so anyway, everybody, don't do anything stupid. Peace out, homies.